research paper, and this presentation is going to be about Season 6, Episode 5 of Black Mirror called Demon 79. So my research questions are moral ethics of murder, racism and sexism, the intersection of racism and sexism in Nida's life, and the power dynamics. I wanted to talk about the moral ethics of murder for this specific episode of Black Mirror because Nida has to kill 3 people in order to save billions of people. I feel this is a hard choice when you yourself are put with a task like this. Killing people is not easy for most sane people, and how would you choose the 3 people who are going to die while the other billions get to stay alive? Nita looked to Gap to tell her if a person is bad or good to determine if they deserve to die. But what makes a person inherently bad or good? It depends, in my opinion, on your personal morals. Personal morals and societal morals are going to be different. Nita chose to kill a man who sexually abused his daughter, a man who killed his wife, and a politician who is racist and threatens minorities, like Nita. In my opinion, this topic is great for this show to talk about because many people struggle with what the right answer is, and it is not an easy answer and varies for every person. And racism and sexism are shown through many Black Mirror seasons. This season, the episode is in season 6, talks a lot about sexism and racism and how they intersect. This episode shows it beautifully. In the 70s, it was a very different time, and people during this time were more racist and sexist than they are now. Of course, there's still sexism and racism, but not to the degree in the 70s. Nita experiences a lot of racism. One example is from her boss making her eat in the basement because her food isn't normal. She also had the National Front logo, the conservative hate group, written on her door. Even the bartenders at the bar, when the police came to interview them, were racist. She wasn't even like talking to Keith or left with Keith when he was there. But instantly the bartenders think of Nita because they're um, there isn't a lot of them that come into that bar. And they asked for a description of her, and they said Indian. That's all that stood out. And then some instances of sexism. Nydia experienced Keith being creepy to her at work, asking for a number and suggested sexual innuendos. And then another is when Smart, the politician, comes in, and the boss asks Vicky to help pick the shoes because she is the best employee. When we've seen throughout the whole episode, Vicky barely does her job, but he only picks her because she's a pretty white girl. And then as they're walking away, the boss and politician makes sexual jokes about Vicky. And I feel like this is a perfect example of sexism and racism intersecting because simply because Nita is an Indian woman, she is not a pretty woman or worth making sexual jokes about to these white men, I guess. The power dynamic between the whole cast and Nita changes throughout the show. Nita starts as passive and doing whatever people say, or just not speaking up for herself. Eventually, she has enough and she becomes confident, starts speaking out for herself, and doing what she wants to do. A symbol of this is when she takes the red leather jacket off the mannequin that she's been wanting to wear for a really long time. You can see throughout the whole episode. Because now she feels like she can wear it and it makes her feel good. And she even tells off Vicky at work and tells her to do her job basically, and Nita doesn't have to do everything for her. Um, and she doesn't let Gap influence her choice of killing the politician. It's her decision, and she doesn't want Gap to influence her. In the beginning, the power dynamic with Nida and the cast lines up with her not being outspoken due to her being the only minority and being a woman, like most TV shows make minority women seem. Eventually, she breaks out and becomes awesome, and I really enjoyed seeing her character develop, and I'm glad the show did it this way. My methodologies: I use ProQuest to find my scholarly sources, and I Google the rest for some magazines or news articles about the episode. It was hard for me to find a lot of scholarly articles about this episode since it's fairly new, but as I was researching, I saw a lot of Black Mirror episodes talk about racism and sexism in them, so I decided to use those also for my research. The first article is by Emily Baker, and she talks about the main plot of Demon 79 and how it talks about politics and racism. My second reference was a journal by Martin, and it talks about being a real girl in TV and how it is portrayed in Black Mirror. My third reference is the dissertation by Quang, and it talks about the technology and human aspect of Black Mirror and how it is different from the recent episode Demon 79, who takes a more horror realistic point of view of humans. My fourth reference is a newspaper article by Power, and it talks about the producers showing present day issues of anti migrant sentiment and manipulative politicians. He praises them for their excellent work on not cheapening the themes of prejudice and discrimination. All right. Wrapping up, my main takeaways after writing my research paper is that this episode of Black Mirror portrays Nida's character respectfully, but still showing the hardship she goes through being an Indian woman. Nida's power dynamic shifts drastically in this episode, from passive to assertive. There was no in between. When she was passive, she was very passive. Or when she was assertive, she was very assertive. She's so assertive, it comes to the point it seems she has a hero complex, almost. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if she did, since she has to kill 3 people to save the whole world. This episode will have a lot of people talking due to politics involved, racism, sexism, and the moral ethics of murder. So just some very heavy topics get people talking for sure. Nida in the end shows who Nida wanted to be in the beginning. In the end, she was a powerful, confident woman who stands up for herself, and in the beginning, that's all she wanted to be. For my stance on murder, like the moral ethics, I agree with Nida about the bad people who deserve to die, but I don't think I could kill someone so easily. It's a lot of pressure and scary knowing you took someone's life away. But if I saved many people, I don't know, like, I would try to figure out a way to do it, but taking someone's life away is very hard. It's like, who made you God, you know? So it's just a very hard topic to talk about. Um, My whole takeaway from the show is comedic but does not disgrace the themes of discrimination and prejudice. I really enjoyed watching this episode and writing about it. Sorry if this video is too long. My essay was also long. Thank you for reading and watching, and thank you for a great semester. Bye.